Who gets the kids? Now that is the question every parent asks when a divorce or breakup turns into a custody dispute. And in Wisconsin, answering that question starts with understanding a few key legal terms, because custody isn't just about where the child sleeps, it's also about who makes decisions and how the court decides what's best. Hi, I'm Jeff Hughes. I'm the lead attorney at Sterling Lawyers, and in this video, I'll break down the 4 types of custody that you need to know: joint, sole, legal, and physical, and what they mean for your rights as a parent in Wisconsin. Now let's clear up one big misconception. Custody and placement are not the same thing. Now, in Wisconsin, there are 2 major concepts. The first is custody. That is major decision making. The second is physical placement. That is where the child lives and resides day to day. Now, these are governed under Wisconsin Statutes 767.001 and 767.41. And the courts and judges, they can treat these very differently depending on the unique facts of your case. Now let's start off with custody. Legal custody is about who gets to make the major decisions in your child's life. Now these are things like medical care, education, religion, and so forth. Wisconsin courts default to joint custody between both parents, meaning that they would share the responsibilities around these decisions. But in some situations, the courts will order sole custody to one parent, especially when the communication is toxic or when one has a history of violence or instability. Now, we once had a client by the name of Emily. Now, that's not her real name, but for this video, that's what we'll call her. Her ex refused to consent to their child's ADHD treatment. Every doctor's visit turned into a colossal battle. And the judge saw that this wasn't about different parenting styles. It was about one parent obstructing the other. Now, Emily ultimately was granted sole legal custody so she could finally move forward with their child's treatment. And it was because the ex was just being an obstructionist and not someone who was attempting to support their child. Now remember, joint custody only works if both parents can communicate together. If that is broken, the court may step in. Now let's switch over to physical placement. This is about where your child resides day to day, night to night. In Wisconsin, there are 2 types of physical placement. The first is shared placement. That is where both parents have substantial time. Often that means 25% of the time or more with the non-primary parent. Now, the second is primary physical placement. That is where one parent has the child the vast majority of the time with scheduled time with the other parent. Now, placement affects everything from daily routines for the child to child support. But here's the key. Wisconsin law says that children should have frequent and continuing contact with both parents unless it is unsafe. We once worked with a father by the name of Jason, and that's not his real name for this video. And Jason assumed that he would always just get every other weekend, but he was a terrific father. He did the majority of the bedtime routines, much of the daycare, and many of the school drop-offs and pickups. And when we got to court, we were able to help him present his case to the judge and show his extensive history with the children. And ultimately what he got was joint placement with the children, which meant over 40% of the overnights that he was able to accommodate the children with. So the lesson here, placement isn't just what is traditional, it's about what can be proven. Now, what the courts really care about is this. Everything in custody boils down to one thing, and that is this: what is in the best interest of the child? This is all found in Wisconsin Statute 767.41 sub 5. And the court will look at your relationship with the child, your ability to meet their emotional and physical needs, whether you can communicate with the other parent. Is there any history of abuse, neglect, or instability? And is the home stable? And what is the stability of both homes? And sometimes the judge will also consider the child's wishes. Now that depends on age and maturity, but it can happen. And yes, judges do notice patterns. They are not looking for protection. They are looking for consistency of effort. Now, before moving on, let's debunk a few very, very common myths that we see in our office. One of them is, if I get more overnights, that means I have sole custody. No, 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 no. Overnights relate to placement. They do not relate to custody. Another is, well, he's a cheater and he should lose the kids. No, in family court, it does not punish infidelity. It protects children unless that behavior harms the children, and it needs to be direct harm to the children. Another is joint custody. That equals 50-50 placement. Wrong again. You can share decision making without having equal placement time. Understanding the difference between legal custody and placement is a key to protecting your rights. Now, can these orders, once entered, be changed? Yes. Custody and placement orders can be modified, but only under certain conditions. After the order has been entered for 2 years, you can request a change based on the child's best interest. But before that, you need to prove there's been a serious endangerment or there's been a substantial change in circumstances. By way of example, one mom came to us after her ex moved in with a new partner who had a criminal history, and we documented the changes showing how it affected the child's environment, and we successfully modified that placement within a few weeks. And also remember, don't assume that verbal agreements hold up in court. If your situation changes, you need a court-approved modification. So what kind of custody should you expect in Wisconsin? Now that depends on your behavior, your ability to co-parent, and how well you have documented your involvement. Start building your case now. That means track your parenting time, stay involved in school and medical decisions, communicate respectfully, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, and get legal help early if the other parent is interfering. If you want meaningful time with your child, you need to show the court that you are already showing up, not a promise that you will in the future. In our next video, I will break down how the courts value your home in a Wisconsin divorce and what you need to know before dividing property. So click below and I will see you over there.